Welcome to the episode of Real Estate versus Technology. I'm your host, Norman Kinsey. We have our co-host, Mr. Dan Gandee. Welcome to the show, Dan.
I am glad to be here.
Awesome, man. Welcome, welcome. So before we introduce who we have on today's episode, please do us a favor, like the video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for new episodes coming out every single week. This week, we have a technology provider. This individual is actually doing some really cool things for real estate professionals. So you're going to want to listen up on this one. The guy that we have today is... Eric from Asteroom. And so we're going to put his website behind us. Eric, welcome to Real Estate versus Technology. And how's your day going, man?
Doing well. Thanks for asking, Norman and Dan. Pleasure to be here. Of
course, man. I'm a pleasure to have you. So this is all about you and your business, and we want to get a different perspective. So if someone wants to use Asteroom and wants to understand where is the roots, where did this company start? Why did it get started? So people can get behind the vision, the mission, and why specifically you're in business and how this is going to serve their business. So let's go ahead and get into it. So how long you been in the business? What made you get in the business? Why Asteroom, man?
Yeah. So prior to Asteroom, I was not in the real estate industry. I was a data scientist working for Facebook.
Wow.
Yeah, so a completely different field. Previously a management consultant and always want to be an entrepreneur. So I've always been looking for opportunities and seeing what's possible and what's out there. A lot of it, my ideas originated from the fact that I was born and raised in Taiwan.
Okay.
So I often looked at what the Chinese companies are working on. And as you know, everybody already knew the US prop tech industry moved significantly slower than the rest of the world. So that was when I discovered that, hey, there's actually an easy way, which would later become the mainstream way to create 3D tours in China. So I don't know if you know this, but people don't know what Matterport is in China. There's not a solution for them to use.
Opportunity. I love it.
Yep. And right now, if you look at any of the Chinese portal, I would say like 95% of them have a 3D tour, right? And that's because China sort of frog leaped into the mobile first, mobile only, right? Right. So the consumer expectations, seller expectations is they wouldn't want to tour property unless they have seen a tour before. And agents are creating tours from their cell phone. and that was the origin of Asteroom. I thought that this type of technology is super interesting, and someone should bring to the US.
Wow, that's amazing. That's phenomenal. So you saw the US based company, right? We don't have to say the name anymore. It's about you. It's not about them. And then you saw the opportunity and you're like, hey, let's run with this. And so how is it going so far with that whole process? So now you're international. So you're in China and also the States.
Yeah,
I would assume.
That's right. Yeah, we're international in Japan, Taiwan, US. I'm physically in the San Francisco Bay Area. So I'm mainly responsible for developing the business in the US.
Way to take a go-to-market strategy from a company that probably didn't even see that opportunity internationally wise. And just kudos for you for taking advantage of that. Two more questions before we go to the mix-up round with Dan. The next one doesn't really make a difference, right? This next question, you could be anywhere and everywhere all at the same time after COVID and everything being digital, but where are you located?
Personally, I'm in San Francisco. The office, We have a headquarters office in the East Bay, but we have another dual research center in Taiwan.
Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. Last question is kind of totally off part here, but what's the best part about doing what you do every single day? What makes you get up in the morning?
Well, it's the fact that I'm able to change how the industry works, right, at some level. So there's a lot of that. COVID was one of it, being able to facilitate virtual open houses. Right. And now there's the appraiser shortage that's in the US, right? So just there are a lot of inefficiency that I'm seeing, and being able to provide and tailor the technology to sort of solve these problems is great. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, I'm going to change the camera angle. Before we actually got on air, I was talking to Mr. Dan Gandee. He's actually a client of yours. And so now he's going to deep dive more on the technical side.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's one of these products that I was like, when Pierre originally had introduced us all, I was like, hey, I'm going to try this out. Right. So I just tried your product on $1 million listing. And what I did is this, I just want to paint the picture for everybody listening, is I hired a professional 30 years in the business photographer to do stills and Matterport. And then what I did is I bought the kit, handed it to my intern / assistant who does all my photography in-house. And I said, hey, we're going to do Asteroom. We're going to pay $550 for Matterport and stills from somebody else. And then I'm going to say, what do you like better? And I want to give the perspective to everybody that yes, Matterport has its benefits in specific areas, but guys, from a marketing standpoint and for getting it on the market, I put both virtual tours up. It went pending in less than 24 hours. There was tons of views on both tours. And if you look at the cost comparison, do you want a $3,000 or $4,000 camera that only does Matterport, or do you want to coordinate a photographer that has to get out there, or do you take the phone out of your pocket and spend 20 minutes to 30 minutes tops and 24-hour, 48-hour response time? So I just wanted to paint the picture to everybody that we have tested this product and it actually works at a fraction of the cost and the ability to be able to do all that. So why I'm saying this, and back to my questions for you, Eric, is where do you see this product 2.0, right? You launched it. Where are things going? Because just so everybody's out there and familiar, tell us exactly what they get and where it's going from here.
Perfect. Yeah. So the 1.0, right, which is the original product that I went to market with, is the 3D Tour Kit and the Asteroom app, right? So the 3D Tour Kit is a tripod plus a rotator. So you put a phone on the tripod on top of the rotator and use an app to click shoot, and the rotator will spin the phone 360 degree, right? So that's, you'll have seen how Matterport camera works, right? It also spin, right? So that's basically your 360 camera. And different from Matterport, right, which actually scan every 6 feet in the house, right, which equate to like 100 scans for a 3,000 square foot home. It will take 2 hours to do. You only have to do, for Asteroom, you only have to do 1 scan per room, right? So if you have a 3B, a 4B, 3B, right, so that's 7, plus the couple of hallway shot, couple of living room shot, and dining room shot, you can get it done with 15, 18 shots, right? So that's time saving, significant time saving. And
significant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we made it. This is basically net. We make the hardware requirement down to just a tripod, right? And that tripod is $75. And it works with all phones, right? So you can keep upgrading the camera, sits on top of the tripod, but the tripod is just a tripod, right? So you don't have to worry about your camera becoming obsolete. And also made it so much easier. You can scan out the order. You can scan the basement first if you want. It doesn't matter. There's no training that you need. You just watch a 3 minutes video and you go to town. So
wow.
So yeah, so that's a product 1.0. That's what you would get if you buy the Asteroom Tour Kit. And we've been selling that on Facebook, Amazon, right? And right now, if you go on Amazon, typing Asteroom, you can read we have basically 5-star review, 4.5, and the ease of use part is 4.9, right? So out of 5. So that is, I know, ease of use and what the real estate agents cares the most, and we really work on that. So that's 1.0. 2.0, where the product is going, right? If you go on our website, you see that there's a do it yourself and there's a hire a pro button, right? So we know that not everybody has the time, right, to do it themselves. And so if someone just want to use a pro, and we also have pros that we directly hire in over 100 cities in the US, and they travel like 50, 100 miles out of the city center, right? So to go to you. And so we're basically covering most of the agent population in the US, and you can just hire them and they will come not only do the 3D tour using professional camera, not the phone. They're using professional 360 camera. I'm not saying the quality necessarily better because phones are really good now, but it's faster for them, right? Also more professional for your clients. And they also shoot DSLR photos for you. Night bracket shots, super HDR. And we also do like all the virtual staging, 2D or 3D. Some of them can do drones, right? If you put in a request. So we essentially become like a full service photography company.
Yep. No.
So yeah, so that's the network. And it's super easy. Just go online, put on $25 deposit, and a photographer that works for it will call you, and they all produce the photo the same quality because we process them centrally.
Yeah, that was one of the coolest things about it was that I uploaded all the files. I actually, it came with the promo postcard, so I didn't even have to pay for the first tour. So it was like trial it as you go. And then it got the dollhouse view. And then you also sent, was it a floor plan?
Yep.
Which I thought was totally rad because a lot of times you got weird layout houses that you really kind of want to understand if you're, an out-of-state buyer or a sight unseen buyer. And I think that was a really big selling point to me as well, being able to look at that, basically that footprint of the house and being like, oh, okay, there's 4 bedrooms. Where's the master? Where's the bonus room? Are the kids loud on the other side of the house? Is that going to work for us? So some cool things there. One thing I wanted to really touch on is that when you created this product, everyone has a phone, right? And when I hired the other company to do the photography, it took forever to get the other 3D tour done. And I wanted to say that because it was significantly different that my assistant even said like, hey man, we've been here like 2 hours. And I was like, Asteroom, we knocked it out. It was like room, done. And I think that to a real estate agent is a huge selling point, or being able to outsource it to somebody on their staff that can be able to do it quickly. So last question for me really is, where do you see this technology? I think you've told us about where you're going, but where do you see this technology of 3D? Are you seeing like 3D goggles going on next or metaverse? Like where do you see this going from here?
Yeah. So, you don't like the good thing about Asteroom is you don't need a goggle to use it, right? You can experience property on the web. But I do think that there's a possibility, right? I worked at Facebook. I've been continuing talking to people at Facebook, and I'm personally very excited for metaverse, and I think that could be a use case where everybody can experience their home in the metaverse, right? Think about it. If you have the ability to alter any space in the reality, right? What space would you alter first? It's gonna be your home because you spend so much time in it every day. You're so bored out of it, right? You just want, if you can put some, like decorations, like NFT on the wall, and then wouldn't you want to do it in your home, right? So I do think that there's a future where we are able to leverage Asteroom technology and a scanning network, right? Maybe one day, like an Amazon delivery guy will come in and say, "Hey, Norman, Dan, like let me scan your studio." Right, so you can have a meeting in the metaverse in your studio, right? So that would be
wow.
Yeah.
No, that's all I got, man. Thanks, Eric. I appreciate it.
Wow. Thanks, Dan, for taking on that mix-up round. And Eric, I have to say, first and foremost, for the viewers and listeners out there, it's astronomical what you're doing just with the network alone, to have photographers nationwide and to be able to just put a $25 deposit down and to have someone go to that location. I think that this episode is very valuable for any real estate professional out there, because one is a testimonial and two, they're hearing it from the owner himself. So I have a couple last questions before I finish up the episode here today with Dan is, data results. Give us some case studies, give us some testimonials. What was one person that maybe said something about, besides Dan, that said something about the services, they used it, and what was the outcome?
Yeah, so we actually are doing the capture, like we call it the Asteroom capture service, right? The photographer go to you service. And we actually we developed this service for brokerages. So we actually work with some of the nation's largest brokers. Like, for example, our top client is Berkshire Hathaway, Fox and Roach. They're the largest Berkshire Hathaway within network. And, that's sort of the gateway into the franchise, right? So here's how Berkshire Hathaway is using us. There's this new trend called listing concierge, right? Where a broker is doing the work for servicing the agent, right? And helping them put a listing on market using the best in class technology and marketing, right? So that would include duty tour, floor plan, virtual staging, right, and photos, of course, right? But what is even like what is even like as an extension of this is we even leverage those content created by the Asteroom photographer and put it on postcards, right? Like if you will receive postcard from like the listings around us, but now those postcards can have a QR code. And and everybody now scans QR code. We go to restaurants, right? Now you can scan the QR code, and then guess what it takes you to? It takes you to the listing, right? Everybody wants to know, like, it takes you to a tour, and guess what? What's even better is branded. It's branded to the agent, and so people in the neighborhood see that, oh, like this is the guy that like using this type of cool technology, right? What else can that be? Like, what if this Google ads retargeting, Facebook ads, right, with a 3D tour and with a floor plan and all this type of content. So that's how we're driving the adoption 3D tours to really help agents not only sell the listings faster, but help them get leads and build a brand around themselves. And we partner with brokerages that want to help the agents succeed.
Wow. I think there's a lot of validity to that, because I think if you look at the flip side of what he's just saying, is that he's helping agents get more listings by showing up with the right technology, being cutting edge.
Yeah. I love that. I love that, Eric. And it made a lot of sense. We're talking about the retargeting, because it's like, okay, so don't make it specifically about the thing, but it's about the thing, say the agent's brand, but make it about the house. They love it. And then you retarget and, oh, did you like that house? Did you see that house? What did you think about that house? And I think technology and Asteroom, for example, for today's podcast, and all the viewers and listeners out there to take in consideration, there's some things that you could do to kind of hack technology and not use it for its face value. So I love how you're strategically doing something different, Eric, to put emphasis on the fact of how you could use this technology in ways that have never been even thought about. So I'm sure in the next year, when we'll get you back on the episode, you can tell us all the amazing stories on how people have hacked Asteroom. And do you have a quick story for us of someone that actually
So
hacked?
like my personal favorite, right? It's besides the QR code on the postcard, right?
Yeah.
My personal favorite is being able to leverage, I'm not going to say which company's technology, right, to retarget the seller themselves, right? So the seller sees the 3D tour when they're browsing a Wall Street Journal. I mean, obviously, they're also targeting people in town, right? But the efficacy really comes from being able to target the sellers themselves. So they see it and they say, oh, okay, this is you, like, why I'm paying you 2.5%, right? Like, you're doing this type of work for me, right?
Wow. I love that. Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love it. So I think the last question I'll bring up to you, or bring up for you, is technology. I mean, this is kind of an interesting one. Technology disrupting the industry, agents never, not being a thing anymore. What's your thoughts on that? That's just a random question. And a lot of people have different point of views on that. I know you're kind of assisting agents with your technology, but what do you see for the future for real estate?
I don't think agents are going anywhere. And that's, like, I'm not gonna say which company, but one of this company that is really focused on building a brand, that brokerage, like we're building the consumer brand. I personally think that, I think people will be aware of, like, eventually, if you store enough money, people can be aware of your brand, but the perception is something that you can like really like influence, right? And like just say like McDonald's, you always think they're cheap, right? They just if you roll out the luxury burger, they're always gonna think it's cheap, right? So what I'm saying is, the point is everybody is doing this the first time. Most of the buyers and sellers out there, right? A lot of it only have done it once, done it twice, right? So they have no basis comparison. They can't compare a good service is a great service or a good service is not a good service. So therefore they can only rely on the people around in their network, and that's agents, right? So they're gonna ask, hey, like, what do you think about Zillow? What do you think about Redfin? What do you think about realtor.com, right? Because they have never experienced it, and they're just gonna tell agents are gonna tell them what they think they should know, right? So I don't think agents are going away. If you have become like us, right? Like being in the industry for a while, or have done home flipping, or have been transacting home more than 5-6 times, then I do think those become sophisticated. Those buyer seller become sophisticated enough to like really look how to how to look for like the most cost effective solution or cost effective agent, or I don't know what it is, but I do think majority of the people will rely on people that like have influence on them, and that's real estate agent because they're everywhere.
I love that. I love that. What I heard from you is contrast. We need contrast, and we need to be able to have a human connection to have a conversation, to identify the contrast and what have you. But Eric, that was just, thank you so much for being on the show. It was amazing. Love the technology. Love what you're doing. For the viewers and listeners, it took like 3 or 4 tries for us to get Eric on. Everything from the holidays to the new year. But we got you on. Thanks to Pierre. And so Eric, thanks so much for being on.
Thanks, Norman. Thanks, Dan.
Of course. Sure. And Dan, thanks for being our co-host today.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks again, Eric, for coming out with a great product.
Appreciate it.
And thanks to all of our viewers and listeners. As it is our intention for you to take something from our episodes, apply to your business, have more massive success. Be sure to check out Asteroom, like, follow, connect, and we will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching Real Estate vs. Technology, this week's brand new episode, and making it to the end, your real one. If you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified for new episodes that come out every single week on Fridays at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. Also, if you comment on this episode and you like the episode, you'll help this episode get out to more individuals. And if you want to join our Facebook group page, just click a link. It's a Facebook icon on our profile page here on our YouTube channel. Join our group page, network with individuals all across the world, and share what technology you're using to grow your business. The next link is to join our Real Estate vs. Technology brand new IG or Instagram page. If you go on any of our stories, you can see who's going to be on Real Estate vs. Technology before it actually goes live on our YouTube channel. And the last link would be if you want to be on an episode of Real Estate vs. Technology. You pick a date and a time. We'll deep dive into your story and technology you're using to share that with other individuals that view our episodes weekly, to inspire, enlighten, show up, and show out for people that love to watch these type of podcasts to have more success in their own business. Thank you so much for your continued support. We appreciate it. We will see you on the next one.